Hey guys, my name is Andrew. I am from the USP team. I'm recording this quick video just because I wanted to show you guys this really new, unheard of technology that allows people to invest in real estate with barely any capital and actually become a real life landlord of income producing real estate inside of the United States. Now, this technology is something that not a lot of people are talking about, and we're putting this video together to show you what this technology is and how you can use it. So without anything else, let's jump straight in. So first, why real estate? What we do at USP is we tokenize real estate. You may or may not have heard of real estate tokenization, but tokenization is a technology and it can be used on a number of different assets. We chose real estate. Now, it's not exactly a secret that buying, holding, and selling real estate is one of the best long-term wealth building strategies in the world. It's a tangible asset. Its historic performance is unmatched by any other asset, with exception to a couple of digital assets, namely Bitcoin. But of course, you got to take into account the volatility. It has high leverage, a very large market cap, super high demand, right? It's never going away. And it has theoretically infinite growth potential. And in the words of a former US president, real estate can't be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it's about the safest investment in the world. Just how powerful is real estate as a wealth building tool? So the total estimated market size of commercial real estate in the United States is actually $45 trillion. The volume of commercial real estate transactions in 2023 summed up to over $600 billion. And 55% of investors say they're going to buy more in 2024 than they did in 2023. Real estate investing has created more millionaires in the US than any other asset class. And I know this because I actually work very closely with one of them. The founder of USP, Johnny Zhang, is one of the millionaires that has been created by the power of real estate. So a little bit of info, background about who Johnny Zhang is. Johnny Zhang currently has over $1 billion of assets under management. He's been a US citizen since 2012. He's currently the CEO of Primeor and USP, which is a tokenized real estate marketplace. He's also a chairman at Zenergy and Growth Labs Consulting. Zenergy is an investment bank and Growth Labs Consulting is a consulting firm. This guy's the real deal. He's been investing in real estate, particularly in commercial real estate, for over 15 years. And he has a net worth of over $100 million. So when I say that investing in real estate has made a very large amount of millionaires, that's very true, especially when you're talking about Johnny. So I've had the privilege of working with Johnny for a very long time. And in that time, he's been featured on a lot of press. So USP and Jay-Z have actually been featured on Security Token Market, Bitcoin.com, Business Insider, Forbes, and a lot of other outlets. But even though he consolidates over 90% of his investments into real estate investing is far from perfect. What I mean by that is there are a lot of barriers to entry. So if you're like me and you're just the average person and you want to get into real estate, but you don't really know how, there are a lot of barriers that you have to overcome. Investing in real estate is right now very difficult and pretty inaccessible for beginner investors such as myself. There's a very high startup cost. You, of course, have to deal with finding tenants and then keeping those tenants. You have to deal with insurance and taxes. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. Local and federal laws are changing all the time. And of course, then you have to worry about financing deals, getting loans, and property management. Not to mention, traditionally speaking, it can take anywhere from $100,000 and up to actually begin investing. And yeah, there are some people out there who want to convince you that you can start with no money. Most of those guys are actually just trying to sell you an online course. And I can guarantee you there is no online course that I'm trying to sell you at the end of this video. We don't even have an online course. There's one thing that you have to really kind of understand about real estate investing. It is a game of risk versus reward. The lower your risk, right? So say you were to invest $100 into an online REIT or a crowdfunded real estate deal, the lower your reward is going to be. If you're only investing $100, you can expect about $3 worth of return. And speaking from experience, the only way to really see significant returns from real estate is to invest $100,000 and up. And that's not even mentioning all the hassle and headaches that actually come along with investing in real estate actively. You'd have to deal with property management, the massive learning curve, market uncertainty, tenant relations, legislation and zoning, which, like I mentioned earlier, change all the time, accounting and taxes, renovation risks, and squatters. And if you live outside of the United States, you might as well just kind of forget about it. Unless, of course, you have over $500,000 in deployable capital, you're just ready to spend and you don't need to worry about financing. Okay, so let's break it down. Real estate is one of, if not the most powerful wealth building tools in the world, but unless you have good credit, US citizenship, $100,000 laying around, and a complete understanding of the market, you're never going to be able to get a piece of the pie. I'm not saying this to scare you away from real estate. In fact, I'm actually trying to convince you you must invest in real estate. This is a very old quote, but it still holds true. 90% of all millionaires became so through owning real estate. More money has been made in real estate than in all industrial investments combined. The wise young man or wage earner of today invests his money in real estate. So like I said, I'm not trying to scare you away. All I'm telling you is you need to find another way in. Because unfortunately, if you don't get in soon, you may not actually get another chance. So really, you can't afford to wait. Inflation is actively eroding the purchasing power of the US dollar. 45.2 million US households currently rent instead of owning a home. And the average annual income required in order to be able to afford that rent is over $78,000. Combine this with the fact that US rent prices are still 29.4% higher than pre-COVID rent prices. What you get is the simple fact that the average person is suffering at the hands of a failing economy and rising inflation. Now keep in mind, the primary job of the Federal Reserve in the United States is to create a controllable inflation. They want inflation. That means, unfortunately, inflation is never going away. So what are you supposed to do? At USP, we believe that the solution is to fight fire with fire, or in other words, to fight inflation with an inflationary asset, real estate. Now, on average, real estate doubles in value approximately every 10 years. Now, don't quote me on that. This is just an average taken over the course of the past several decades. Now, what that means is that in 10 years, the United States real estate market might be worth as much as 200% of what it is today. In a couple of markets, it actually might triple or even quadruple, especially if you live in Southern California like I do. Meanwhile, more than a third of business leaders in the United States say AI has replaced workers in 2023. That means the window to capitalize on real estate's closing, and you need to come out of the other side a winner. Like it or not, soon we're going to live in a world where AI has just replaced too many jobs. No one's going to be able to afford to buy property, and everyone's going to be stuck renting their house. But here's the thing, you don't need to worry. Here's how we know that for a fact. 90% of the world's population is keeping themselves in the dark. Those are the ones who are going to unfortunately be stuck renting forever. But you took the initiative to actually watch this video. Because of that, you know what's coming, and you're embracing both self-education and financial responsibility. You don't need to worry about what's going to come next because you're going to be prepared. Now, the goal of this video is we're going to show you how to be prepared. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's all thanks to a little known technology that's been around for less than a decade. That technology is called tokenization. Now, there are a lot of things that can be tokenized, ranging from credit to private equity. And at USP, we tokenize real estate. And we've been tokenizing real estate for 2 years. Now, USP, we actually believe that tokenized real estate investing is the solution to the problem of real estate investing. With tokenized real estate investing, you get all the benefits of real estate investing, plus all the security and benefits of blockchain. You have a lower entry barrier than traditional real estate investing, and you have a high potential for liquidity. You also have global participation. So in a nutshell, what is tokenized real estate? Basically, it works like this. You take an asset or a pool of assets, such as real estate, art, cars, precious metals, private equity stocks, bonds. Look it up. There are a lot of really interesting projects right now that are tokenizing a lot of assets. Then you take your proof of ownership. Now, this only works if you can verify the ownership of that asset or pool of assets using a smart contract on the blockchain, which is the next step. A smart contract will then automate the tokenization on the blockchain. Then you have what's called an STO issuance, or a security token offering. Security token offering takes place. Tokens are issued to investors, and when the investors purchase those tokens, which represent fractional ownership of the underlying assets, they have the option to either hold those assets and wait for them to appreciate, or liquidate them on secondary markets. So in other words, tokenization takes expensive and previously inaccessible assets and breaks them up into smaller tokens that can actually be bought and sold for a fraction of the cost. And your ownership of these tokens represents ownership of the underlying asset, or like I said, pool of assets. This gives smaller beginner investors the same ability to participate in previously inaccessible markets as institutional investors and private equity firms. It levels the playing field. The stakes are lower, of course, because instead of owning 100% of an asset, you only own a percentage of it. But thanks to the power of blockchain, your ownership is recorded on what's called an immutable ledger. That means it can never be altered, it can never be disputed, and it can't be hacked. And the best part of tokenizing real estate assets is you're not subject to the same barriers to entry as traditional investing. That means you no longer need good credit and income, US citizenship, $100,000 of deployable capital, or a complete understanding of the market. With tokenized real estate investing, all you really need is internet access, a crypto wallet, and a few dollars, or even a fraction of a dollar. In return, You get access to long-term asset appreciation, rental property income, and the oldest and arguably safest investment asset class in the world. Now, while we have no doubt this technology is going to eventually revolutionize the entire industry and many more industries to come, we'd be lying if we didn't tell you about the roadblocks. Now, the most notorious of these roadblocks is regulation. Tokenizing any income-producing asset, such as real estate, means that those tokens become something called digital securities. And in the United States, a digital security is a very regulated asset that's unfortunately governed by a set of rules that was written in 1948 called the Howey test. And the Howey test states that an asset is a security if there is an investment of money into a common enterprise wherein there is an expectation of profit that is derived from the efforts of others. And of course, investing in real estate that is actively managed by another company satisfies the Howey test. As of right now, securities in the United States are governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, which hates everything blockchain related. That makes it very difficult for innovative tokenization projects and technologies to thrive due to the intentionally outdated and unclear policies. But if you're listening closely to market signals, you'll see there are clear indicators that regulatory clarity is right around the corner. People like BlackRock, JP Morgan, HSBC, Goldman Sachs, they're all getting into this. So you're probably wondering, if tokenization poses all these benefits, why hasn't it caught on yet? Actually, it already has. A lot of people just haven't noticed, or they haven't been paying attention. Recently in an interview, Larry Fink, and if you don't know who Larry Fink is, he is the current CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset management and firm in the world, recently said, these ETFs are just stepping stones towards tokenization. And I really do believe that this is where we're going to be going. We have the technology to tokenize today. If you have a tokenized security and you have a tokenized identity, the moment that you buy or sell an instrument, it is known. It's on a general ledger that is all created together. If you want to talk about issues around money laundering and all that, this eliminates all corruption by having a tokenized system. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when Larry Fink talks about a technology like this, it kind of makes me excited for it. Tokenization is already happening, and as with all things, institutional investors beat everybody else to the punch. But it is not too late to start. In fact, it's nowhere near. We've been told we're too early. In the past 2 years, we've obviously been doing a lot of market research, and we've been staying abreast of all the market updates. Now, according to what we're seeing in the market and in the news, we believe that the future is probably going to be looking like this. Of course, always do your own research. This is not any promise of future returns. But we think what's likely to happen is as follows. First, the technology that makes tokenization possible is invented. That already happened. We already have blockchain technology. Then, major banks are going to begin experimenting with tokenization. This has actually already started happening. After that, most mainstream investors own at least some tokenized assets. There are a lot of investors that already own tokenized assets, but I'm talking about mainstream investors, the big guys. After that, 100% of asset managers and fund managers are going to integrate tokenized assets into their strategies. Once that happens, regulation is going to have no choice but to catch up with the technology. And then after that, I don't think there's any going back. There's going to be 100% tokenization in all markets. So currently we're right here. And in fact, in the time between creating this deck and me recording this video for you, this little circle has actually moved further towards the right. Major banks are already experimenting with tokenization. Like I mentioned, HSBC, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're already trying this out. So how can the average person like you or I get a piece of this pie? So USP, we believe, is the solution, or at least a part of the solution. USP is already built. We spent the past 2 years building out the technology and tokenizing the assets. Over the last 2 years, we've spent over $2 million developing, building, and testing the USP marketplace. A tokenized real estate marketplace where you can filter and sort tokenized real estate assets, find the properties that match your specific investment criteria, depending on where you want to invest and what types of deals you want to invest into, deposit funds directly into your account, whether it's a crypto wallet or a bank account or a card, and then buy equity in the properties that you believe will perform well. Then once you've bought your tokens, you can hold them or you can sell them. They're yours, you own them, so you can do whatever you want as long as the regulation allows it. You can liquidate on secondary markets, you can maintain self-custody and wait for those assets to appreciate, and you have 24/7 peer-to-peer access due to the fact that it's blockchain technology powering it. Now, for a very limited time, there is an active offering on republic.com/USP. Now, you have the opportunity to invest in the future of tokenized real estate today. An investment on republic.com/USP represents an investment into USP, the company that owns the tokenized real estate assets that are currently valued at over $51 million, as well as the development of the tokenized USP marketplace. Now, regardless of whatever it is that you do next, just know this: tokenization is a technology that's going to revolutionize the market, whether it takes a year, 5 years, or 10 years. Right now, you're being presented with an opportunity to get ahead of a market that's failing. Because of the way things are going, you might not get another chance. We think right now, the only question that investors need to be asking themselves is, how early do you really want to be? So click on the button below this video, learn more about the active offering on republic.com/USPC.